Now, our panel, no doubt, listening into that conversation, and what we're going to talk about next is the markets. And so far this year, you see, yeah, we're up 8% on the Dow, right? And we wonder what's priced in terms of going forward from here. What happens, for example, if these bills don't get done, health care and taxes? We have Celia with us, we have Maney with us, and we have Gerri Willis with us as well. So, Dan, let me start with you. What is priced into the market right now, or what are we assuming will happen? I'm just talking about politics.
Well, I think the interesting part is, Connell, I don't think anything's priced into the market at this point.
Okay.
I think we've reached all those points. I think the market continues, in the midst of the uncertainty of what's going on in Washington, continues to plug along at a pretty good pace. Now, the question is, how much longer can it continue? And I think if we don't see anything done soon, some sort of legislation get done, I think that's going to be a problem, at least on the short term.
All right, Dave, so is the risk to the downside, if the agenda is delayed or worse, is there a serious risk here of a Wall Street sell-off?
I don't think a sell-off in the sense of, you know, running for the exits and all that. I mean, I think, and I also think it's wrong that that it's not priced in. Of course it's priced in. Everybody prices in. I mean, a complete
what is taxes?
kind of
a tax
probable,
cut, you mean?
I'm saying that everybody on the street on a major issue like this is doing probabilistic modeling and saying, what do I think the chances are, and layering that into those models that they use for all of their trading activities. So the idea that there would be some kind of, you know, massive break in one direction or the other, depending on what happens, I think that's just not right.
Okay, Gerri, you talk to a lot of people and investors throughout the day, as we all do. And what are you hearing in terms of what assumptions people are making?
You know, I know everybody wants to think that this market is going to go to hell in a handbasket if we don't get health care reform and tax reform in short order. But I have to tell you, there are fundamentals here that are working. Remember, the stock market is really looking at what? Earnings, underlying earnings. Second quarter, they're going to be up 8% in the S&P 500 stocks. In technology, the earnings gain is going to be 11%. There is a there. You know, this is not, you know, a bust of some 10 years ago. This isn't, you know, the tech bust of, you know, so many years ago. We're looking at a market that's really moving on fundamentals. And I have to tell you, people are also encouraged by the fact that this is spilling over into other sectors. As tech became a little weaker, you saw healthcare, you saw financials pick up the baton and move on. So I'm not that negative right now.
You know, we might get to Gerri's point, go back to Dan on this and then Dave. But Dan, you first. We might do a little too much on the connection between the Wall Street world and the Washington world. I understand there is a connection, and certainly there's a correlation between the two on certain issues, and maybe now more than there has been in the past sometimes. But let's look at these companies. Now we're showing banks, but before that we were showing Amazon and these big tech companies, Alphabet and all the rest. I mean, it's a lot of great innovation and a lot of great things that are done, and some of it maybe is separate, Dan, from politics. Can we remove the two?
Well, I think we can, Connell, and I think Gerri is right on the money. I think that and that's the point I was trying to make when we talk about things being priced in. I think the underlying fundamentals, for the first time in a very long time, are very, very strong.
Right.
I think some of those fundamentals are based on some enthusiasm and some things that will happen, already beginning to happen.
But if we don't get a tax cut, say, we can keep going up. Is that what you're, Dan, is that essentially what you're saying?
I think if we don't get a tax cut, I think things are going to continue to plug along as they have. But I think if we don't get a tax cut until October, which I think we're going to get this year, October, November, it's not going to be retroactive to January.
Okay,
there's
but
no
you're still assuming we're going to get one,
but,
which I notice is interesting. Dave, what do you say? Say we don't get one at all this year. We're going into the new year. We're having all those interviews at the end of the year. What's going to happen in 2018? We don't have any tax cut on the table. What does the market look like to you, Dave?
Well, look, I mean, what you've got is an administration that's fundamentally business-friendly, that is taking a fairly significant deregulatory track, which business likes. They feel good about it. They've got big technological upsurges coming with productivity and what they're able to do with less and less labor. And so all of the Obama era kind of labor's more expensive things are less and less weighing on earnings. I think it's a pretty good environment if nothing happens.
Interesting.
And so, my guess is the underlying basis is pretty good.
I've heard that, Gerri, from a lot of investors. When the next story about President Trump comes up on whatever it may be, the date, Russia, Don Jr. today, whatever it is that, listen, at the end of the day, his policies are pro-business, and that's what I care about. I've heard that from a lot of people.
Right, and look, these professional investors, Wall Street, they're not naive. Somebody says they're going to give you something nice, you wait till you get it before you throw the party, right? I mean, that's just the way it works. I mean, people aren't stupid. But I think fundamentally the fact that Trump is open to business, he's supportive of business, he wants business to grow because he knows that's a way to put money in regular people's pockets.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Dan and Dave and Gerri, good stuff, all three of you.